Oh, what a crazy way to kick off the Monday here in the Cardano community. I just literally wrapped up shooting a video touching on the slippage issues and the commotion that we've seen with the Muesliswap DEX and how we've seen over 2 million ADA being put aside to a specific batcher address from the DEX. Now, in the middle of me shooting the video, we've just got an apology statement as well as a statement highlighting a refund of more than 2 million ADA coming back into the Cardano community. Jumping directly into the biggest and the latest piece of news here, I will go ahead and explain everything as a part of this video. And so go ahead and make sure to use those timestamps down below if you guys want to go ahead and jump around. But because of how late this information was released in respect to how I recorded my video earlier on today, I'm going to go ahead and touch on the latest piece here, which is the refund at the beginning of the video. But again, make sure to stick around for the rest of the video coming after this, given the fact that that's going to give you all of the information that you need to know to get up to speed as to what is going on with the Muesliswap DEX. So it reads here, important announcement at Muesliswap: transparency and user education are paramount. We recognize that we fell short in providing adequate clarity on the slippage feature within the Muesliswap DEX pool and the protocol. Our decentralized matchmaker setup allowed each matchmaker to fill the limit order and choose whether or not to return the additional slippage amount or to retain the difference at their discretion. Well, it looks like what we've seen so far was them choosing to retain that difference all of the time, with numerous reports of members not getting that difference back. Now, continuing on, while this difference has been serving as an incentive for decentralized matchmakers and thereby being an integral part of their order book protocol since the very beginning, they understand that the term slippage has caused some misunderstanding amongst new users, and they sincerely regret not making this more clear and are dedicated to rectifying the issue. Shout out number one to the Muesliswap team for owning this, number two for providing a refund, and then number three for trying or for doing the right thing. Again, I'm going to be breaking down everything that has happened over the course of the last 24 hours in the next part of this video. Now, to quickly close out this particular statement here that was just made no more than 15 minutes ago, to amend or to make amends, we will be refunding the affected users who encountered high slippage on the Muesliswap pools in the last 12 months from our project funds. Now, two things stick out to me here. I believe that that wallet still has the ADA in it. I don't think they've spent it. So theoretically, it shouldn't be coming from the project's funds. It should just be in that pool, which the batcher has been sending to. But then number two, this has been going on for at least 12 months. So this does confirm some of the reports that we have seen earlier within Twitter, stating that this has been ongoing for quite a bit of time. A thorough analysis of all trades will be conducted by the Muesliswap team to ensure a fair refund. Now, this process may take approximately 3 to 4 weeks as they gather and validate the necessary data and implement the distribution code. Additionally, and very lastly, immediate action has been taken to fix the slippage issue in the Muesliswap order book DEX, as previously mentioned in their tweets. Again, I'm going to be touching on that here in the very short piece of this video. Going forward, our DEX protocol will provide clear and accurate information on slippage when interacting with our pools. Your trading experience matters to us, and we're determined to make it seamless. Again, I think this is a no-brainer here. They were going to be waiting until Thursday to release an official statement, but I think that would have just given so much time for the community to have additional questions and concerns come up between now and then. So seeing them act as quickly as they can, doing the right thing, I think will work out for them in the long term. Now, I can definitely say that there's probably going to be some trust that has been lost from the community, and they'll probably be working to build that back up with at least a very good start here, beginning with the refund. Now, they hope that these lessons will ultimately strengthen the trust and decentralization of Cardano DeFi as they move forward with the community together. We deeply, and this is the Muesliswap team, value your support and feedback as we continue to build a truly decentralized and user-friendly exchange. Thank you for being a part of the Muesliswap community. Again, what a way to kick off this Monday into Sunday. I want to first off thank everybody for tagging me on Twitter and alerting me to what has been going on here. I've been trying to do my job to keep you guys updated as to what's going on here in the community. Now, as promised, I'm going to explain exactly what has been going on and what the team has been doing here and all of the actions that we've seen from the community. So without any further ado, you guys go ahead and enjoy today's video. But I did want to start off here with the most important part, which was the latest announcement that the Muesliswap team is taking the necessary steps to rectify their issue, which was surrounding the usage of not only the word slippage, but of some excess data that we've been seeing going to another wallet, which appears to have been dedicated or run by one of the Muesliswap batchers. Oh, what is going on, Ada Nation? Welcome to the Dapp Central YouTube channel. My name is Fareed, and in today's video, I've got a semi-controversial topic that I want to raise as a part of today's brief update. Now, many of you here within the community are aware of the Muesliswap DEX. They've gained a lot of traction over the course of the past few months, and they were also one of the very first DEXs with an order book style to launch on the Cardano network, and that's what we're going to be touching as a part of today's video. Now, I was tagged on a post late yesterday here released by Bobcorn_Ada, and he's basically talking about some interesting activity that he's noticed when he's making transactions using the Muesliswap AMM protocol. What he basically states here is that there appears to be some sort of malicious actor or batcher which is used to execute their trades, exploiting traders on the Muesliswap liquidity pools. Now, Bob did reach out to the team for an official answer. Since then, we have had a few statements coming out from the Muesliswap team, but in a nutshell, for me to summarize this, there appears to be some sort of misunderstanding at a minimum with regards to how slippage should work. Now, if you're watching this video and you're not familiar with slippage, it's basically the minimum amount of a token that you're willing to receive on a particular trade. So for example, if you're on the Muesliswap DEX, I'll use them as an example, and you're putting up 100 ADA for a particular token swap, and you have a slippage amount of 10%, that means that at a minimum, you're willing to receive 90 ADA's worth of whatever token you're going ahead and purchasing. Now, under normal circumstances, if there is enough liquidity within the liquidity pool, you should not hit that slippage percent. However, if there is low liquidity or if your trade is big enough, you could actually see you receiving that minimum amount. Now, what appears to have happened, or at least what appeared to have happened with Muesliswap, was that the 10% was being taken regardless of whether or not there was sufficient liquidity or whether the trade would have actually triggered the maximum slippage. So a pretty, I don't want to say it's complex. If you're not trading or swapping a lot, it might be a little bit difficult to understand, but the TLDR is a lot of people are being charged or receiving less ADA's worth of their token that they're purchasing than they theoretically should. Again, under some of the pretenses that we've seen with other DEXs and how slippage works, a lot of people would have expected the slippage to also work the same way on the Muesliswap DEX. However, that does not appear to be the case. Now, for full transparency, we just had a Twitter space that I just got off of with the CEO of Muesliswap, in which he basically broke down some of the information that he had. And if you guys want to listen to that in its entirety, I'll go ahead and leave the link to that down in the video description. Now, one thing here that he notes is that he's made a few orders here and he's basically not getting what he should be getting back, again, due to the tolerance for his slippage. If I jump over into this next tab here, we have a quick response from the actual Muesliswap team. I do want to say that this was actually taken down, but he's basically reaching out to them. They acknowledge him and say that they'll be refunding him. So I think what this shows here is that they were obviously aware that something wasn't right. But as soon as Bobcorn raised this, a lot of other people came right behind him stating that they've also noticed that they weren't getting their full trade value when it comes to using the Muesliswap DEX. Again, what we would normally expect is that under certain circumstances that you may not get your entire order filled with perfect slippage, but what we're seeing, or at least what we did see with Muesliswap earlier today, was that regardless of, how much you were putting in and how much liquidity was available, the actual Muesliswap DEX, or the batcher, was appearing to execute the trades at the maximum slippage regardless. So again, this was really giving you the worst case scenario without ever even trying to give you what you should be getting with respect to your order. Now, if we take a look at some additional tweets here, this is another tweet by Juve. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But what we can see here is that there was a purchase made for 3,000 ADA, and we can see that they received 2,900 ADA's worth of a particular token. Again, this was with a 10% slippage. And then we have 325 ADA actually going towards a batcher, which appears to be working with the Muesliswap team. Now, during the Twitter space that was just held, we were not able to identify whether or not this was a community run batcher or whether this was a batcher operated directly by the Muesliswap team. And we are waiting for an official release of a report basically breaking down what has happened over the course of the past few months while this issue has been exposed. Now, if I jump over into the next tab here, we do have this particular wallet, which appears to be the wallet in which a lot of those funds from the batcher were being rerouted to after they were executed. And as you guys can see, that's quite a hefty amount here, over 2 million ADA coming into this wallet here, which again, we're not sure whether or not this is tied directly back over into the Muesliswap team. So I want to be careful with my words here. Again, we don't have any finalized report, and I want to make sure not to spread any misinformation. Now, what we have here is going to be an official statement released by the Muesliswap team in their understanding of how slippage works. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read all of this out. I will leave the link to it down below if you guys want to read this on your own. Now, a key piece here, and hopefully Paul doesn't mind me sharing this, but this was raised by Paul, who was actually on the Twitter space earlier. He states, with their explanation that I just showed there, that still doesn't touch on why you execute the market trades at the max slippage that the users have set rather than up to it. Again, under normal circumstances, right, the slippage would be the the minimum amount that you're willing to accept. However, regardless of whether or not the trade could have been made at a better price, all of the trades are being made at the maximum slippage. This is not how other DEXs behave, but this was exactly what we're seeing with the Muesliswap DEX. And as I mentioned earlier, it appears that the team has fixed this already. In closing here, Paul states that Slippage sets the maximum slippage that the user will accept, not the cut that you can take from every trade. Now, my personal take here is that, this is definitely an issue. If this is not how the Muesliswap team intended for this to work, there should be some sort of refund process taking place. If this is how they intended for it to work, I think they should have been clearer as to their functioning version of their platform. If I jump into this next tab here, and just kind of closing this down, because we are expecting a report breaking all of this information down, I believe on Thursday, I'll follow up with an additional video. So this is from TGK Research, and this is his opinion. Again, none of this is considered fact as of now until it's actually stated or confirmed by the Muesliswap team. So he states, number one, the batcher issue was apparently not a bug or something unintended to happen. I get the impression that this was a design flaw from the DEX, probably caused by their concept of slippage being very different from other DEXs. Again, from what we've seen so far, if that is the case and they still have the ADA available, then I think that the Muesliswap team should definitely consider refunding the community, because from the community standpoint, this is not how slippage should have functioned. Number two, I don't think that this was a malicious design flaw. Rather, it looks like a mistake. If that wasn't the case, I doubt that they would have come forward and faced the FUD. I mentioned earlier that we did see the CEO from Muesliswap on a Twitter space, which I'll leave down below on the Cardano Lounge. Number three, the CEO of Muesliswap was not prepared for some of the questions that he was asked, and he seemed to have been puzzled by some of those as well. By now, they should know who the batcher is and be able to clarify exactly why this happened and what their concept of slippage is. Moreover, sending the CEO to the space did much more harm than good. In TGK Research's eyes, this was a terrible decision. I'll keep my personal opinion out of it. I do think that it's good that we at least have some representation from the Muesliswap team. Whether they did more harm than good is yet to be seen. But I do agree that the team should definitely know exactly who is operating this batcher. If it was 100 ADA, 200 ADA, 300 ADA, within the wallet, okay, cool. I can understand if you're not maybe keeping track of that. But a wallet holding more than 2 million ADA is definitely not something to take light of. Again, these are community specific funds, and these are supposed to be funds that were supposed to be going towards trades that were actually not going to the trade, but to this particular batcher. So we need to identify very quickly who owns this. And if this was done unintentionally, I think they should work to refund these assets to the community as quickly as possible. Number 4 here, Muesli does not seem to be open to issuing any refunds. Again, this is his personal opinion. We'll see exactly how the Muesliswap team decides to take care of this. Based off of their recent Twitter space, they do seem a little bit apprehensive about doing any refunds. But if this was done unintentionally, I think it is the right thing to do. Imagine, the track record and the word of mouth that comes with a reputation like this moving forward, especially for its team that has been within the space for such a long time. Again, delivering one of the first AMM style protocols, one of the first order book style protocols here on the Cardano network, and then upgrading to adopt AMM style protocol as well. Now, number 5, the upcoming report will be crucial to determine if the dev team behind Muesliswap, Li-Fi, and OPT can be trusted. So as a result of this, we've seen the Muesliswap price really just begin to tank. Right now, the Muesliswap token is down 38%. OPT, which is going to be the options flow protocol there at the top left-hand corner, is down 51%. And then Li-Fi, which is going to be for linkage finance, is also down about 35%. The very last point here made by TGK Research states the fact that Muesliswap is changing the way that the DEX is now operating is basically an admission of guilt and an acknowledgement that it was not working as intended, namely because their slippage was not what we thought it was. And that's the piece that really kind of struck me there, was the fact that they were able to change it and fix it so quickly. But there's been reports that this has been an ongoing issue for more than just a few months. So an unfortunate situation here. But I do want to do my best to bring you guys my unbiased research here, basically touching on what we know so far. That is going to bring me to the end here of today's video, basically touching on this recent issue, which was brought to light by the community surrounding Slippage and how that functions on the Muesliswap DEX. Again, I'm not trying to draw any conclusions just yet. I think we do need to wait until Thursday to make any final decisions as to what has happened and exactly how we can get through this together as a community. I do want to know though, what are your thoughts about this? How do you feel about what has gone on, how the Muesliswap team has handled this, and is the community right or wrong for asking questions when a situation like this happens? We've seen a lot of people call this FUD online, but I think this is warranted, and it's not necessarily FUD when there's more than 2 million ADA here at stake from the Cardano community. That said, that's going to wrap it up here for today's video. If you guys appreciated this or found this to be helpful, while they may not be a topic that brings a lot of joy to the community, I would appreciate it if you could tap that like button. If it's your first time stopping by the channel and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And if you have any questions for me surrounding anything that we touched on as a part of today's video, then as always, make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, I will see you guys in the next video.